Hi, I'm Hazel, and this is a guide to 8 of the Return to Karazhan bosses. We'll look at the Opera Hall Wikket, Maiden of Virtue, Attumen the Huntsman, Moroes, the Curator, Shade of Medivh, Mana Devourer, and Viz'aduum the Watcher. Not shown in this video are the other 2 Opera Hall fights in the secret 9th boss, but we're gonna work with what we've got. Karazhan is a challenging dungeon, and this video should get you well prepared on your way to a full clear. Opera Hall Wikket. This is one of 3 potential fights you can see on this stage. The witches' names, and the fact that they're both hostile and a pain to deal with, is a clever reference to the Wizard of Oz based musical, Wikket. These 2 ladies share a health pool, and they each have a few abilities. Alfira will summon winged assistants, which damage the party. Kill them quickly to help out your healer. Defy Gravity will create swirling purple vortexes on the ground. Do not touch these, you'll need them later. Galindra will cast Magic Magnificent, at which point everyone needs to jump into their own vortex. Anyone still on the ground when her cast finishes will take 1.5 million damage, which generally melts you into a puddle. If there aren't enough vortexes and your class has an immunity, consider staying down and using your Divine Shield or Ice Block so you don't shut someone else out of a tornado. Last, Wondrous Radiance puts an Arcane Bomb under the tank, so keep dragging the boss around so nobody's in that. This is a pretty easy fight once you've got the hang of Tornado Wing out of the magic explosion. Clothies can cross their fingers for this sweet looking Wikket Witch's hat, which looks excellent for Transmog. The Maiden of Virtue is a straightforward but tightly tuned fight. Spread out to avoid extra damage from Holy Bolt throughout the fight. She'll lay down Sacred Ground, which is an expanding ground AoE that leaves a dot on you if you touch it. It'll eventually stop expanding, so find a nice spot right next to it. When you see her casting Repentance, dip your toes in the Sacred Ground to pick up a stack of the dot, and then get right back out. She'll CC you with Repentance, your Sacred Ground dot will break it, and then she'll gain Holy Bulwark and try to cast Holy Wrath. DPS off the Bulwark, and then kick the Holy Wrath. She'll also be casting Holy Shock, which deals increasing damage to the tank, so consider a kick rotation to minimize that. Once you've got all that down, just rinse and repeat. The Sacred Ground expands to be kinda huge, so try not to get trapped in a corner. Attumen the Huntsman has a chance to drop the brand new Midnight mount, so you can't give up now. He'll fight you both on and off his horse, and has different moves in each form. On the horse, he'll do a Mighty Stomp that interrupts spellcasting for 4 seconds if it kicks you, so pretend it's Fenrir and stop casting. Spectral Charge summons a Cordana-style line of ghost horses, so find the gap and then walk through. For the healer mechanic, he casts Intangible Presence. It'll do damage to the whole group until it's dispelled, but you have to figure out who it's on first. Look at your group's characters to find the one with the ghost and dispel that guy. Dispelling the wrong player will deal 600k damage to everyone, so choose carefully. Once he's on foot, his horse will freak out and start charging the group. He does a cone-shaped charge attack, so watch for the orange ground visual and get out of that. When the tank gets shared suffering, everyone needs to stack on the tank to help split damage. Last, the boss spams his own frontal cone with Mortal Strike, so tanks face him away from the group. After a while, he'll hop back on his horse and do phase 1 again. Keep doing what you're doing and cross your fingers for a mount drop. Moroes is having a dinner party, and he was rude enough to not invite us. Logically, the best thing to do is kill them all. This is an extremely stressful fight for healers, so consider giving your heals a hug after. Moroes will jump around the room and stack up bleeds on everyone, so the whole group will be taking ramping damage over time. He has 4 guests for dinner who will annihilate you if you pull them all at once, so pick up the 3 traps from the preceding area and trap 3 of them. The traps are an instant cast launch at your target, and they'll start the fight, so do a countdown and then throw all 3 traps at once. Be careful to pull the active mobs down the stairs away from the trapped guests so you don't break the traps with Cleave. He'll have 4 guests up from a potential pool of 6. If he has Baroness Dorothea, absolutely kill her first. She does a targeted mana drain on your healer, and you really can't have that, so burst her with cooldowns if necessary. Kira Berrybuck buffs the damage Moroes is doing, so we killed her second. This fight is all about managing incoming damage, so that buff is pretty gnarly. Lady Catriona von Indy will heal Moroes, so we killed her third. All of the male guests have avoidable weapon attacks, so they're lower priority than the ladies. When Moroes reaches 60% health, he'll free the rest of his friends, so be careful not to cleave him down before you're done with the ads. Kill the guests one at a time, and this fight should go down smoothly. If you break guests out early though, you're in for a nightmare, so be really careful with cleave spells and trinkets. The Curator pats back and forth down his hallway, so be careful when clearing his trash that you don't get the boss early. You'll need the whole room, so don't be lazy on trash. He'll summon volatile energy ads that do ramping damage on the party, so focus them down quickly. Throughout the fight, Power Discharge places fire under players' current positions. Use the room carefully so you don't box yourself in. After a while, he'll go into an Evocate, which is your burn phase. pop every cooldown and try to kill him if you can. After evocation, he'll deal heavy party damage with Overload. Every time he does that, it gets worse, so you need to kill him in as few evocations as possible. Between running out of room with the fire and the ramping Overload explosions, this fight is a big DPS check. The Shade of Medivh is hanging out in the library. For an all-powerful guardian, he does pretty typical magey things. Piercing Missiles is kickable and will put out a nasty debuff if he finishes the cast, so kick that. Frostbite is another kickable ability that stuns a player indefinitely if he gets it off. Inferno Bolt will target a player with an 8-yard AoE that does strong damage and breaks Frostbite. Run Inferno Bolts over to Frostbitten allies, and otherwise stay out of them. After a while, he reaches full mana and enters Phase 2. He gets Ceaseless Winter, which causes a big snowstorm that will do stacking damage. Moving removes the stacks, so just keep swimming until winter's over. Flame Wreath will put a fire ring around random players for 20 seconds. Don't run into one, and don't run out, or you will kill everyone. You pretty much want to stay put. Finally, he'll summon Guardian's Image ads, which need to be killed quickly. Once you've got all that down, it's pretty easy. The Mana Devourer is a regular little mana worm, but we've been made super tiny, so it's a big scary boss now. His mechanics are simple, but this was actually one of the hardest fights in the whole dungeon. If he reaches full mana, he'll decimate the party and wipe you, so you need to keep him from topping up. Arcane bombs will appear and need to be moved out of, so don't trigger those. Energy voids will spawn, and you'll need those later, so take note of where they are. During Coalesce Power, a bunch of mana bubbles will spawn. If they make it to the boss, it gives him mana, so you want to intercept them. Run around picking up bubbles, and you'll get a damage buff and a stacking dot. The dot kinda hits like a truck, so we'll need to rinse those off. After you've picked up some bubbles, run over to the energy voids and stand in them to drain off your stacks. Get out once your stacks are gone, and get back to damaging the boss. If you have a lot of passive self-healing or a really brave healer, you can keep a few stacks of the buff for damage and kill the boss faster. You don't need to absorb every bubble, but if he eats too many, you all die, so keep an eye on his mana bar. There's a lot of running around, so this one's kinda gross for melee. Viz'aduum the Watcher is the end boss, and his fight is really cool. In the first phase, there'll be a big fell beam that chases a random player. Don't run that through the group. Throughout the fight, the boss will cast Disintegrate. That's a big frontal line beam that does damage and a knockback, so be conscious of which way the boss is facing and don't get smoked by that. Bombardment will sprinkle fire everywhere and it hurts a lot, so keep moving and do your best to avoid that. The Chaotic Shadows debuff explodes into shadow bubbles when it ends or is dispelled. Move away from the group when you get the debuff to give people more space to dodge. The boss will port away to a spaceship because why not, so jump in the green ground portal and follow him. On the ship, avoid the lightning and try to dodge the Disintegrate knockback beam. Get to the end and you're fighting the boss again, just with less room. Work him down more and he'll port to a third and final ship. This ship has ads, so let the tank pick them up and drag them to the boss to cleave down. You'll get more Chaotic Shadows here, so dodge like a dodgeball pro and kill the boss before he finishes stabilizing the rift. This fight is pretty easy right up until that third phase, where the extra orbs just wrecked us. All in all, Return to Karazhan is an amazingly fun dungeon that really does feel like a 5-man raid. The full clear took us about 2.5 hours on our first run, which will probably be just under 2 after some practice. The loot in here is similar item level to Emerald Nightmare loot, so this will be a nice source of extra gear for guilds. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think, don't forget to subscribe, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!